morning everyone, and in today's class we will discuss precipitation reactions. Precipitation reactions. First of all, what is the precipitate? What is the meaning of precipitate here? Precipitate is the insoluble solid mass. Generally it can be formed when you mix two aqueous solutions, and that can be settled at the bottom of the container or beaker. So we can define like this: a precipitate. A precipitate generally we can write as a PPT. PPT nothing but precipitate is the insoluble solid mass that can form when two aqueous solutions are mixed together, and that is a precipitate. And where the precipitate formation takes place in a chemical reaction, and the type of reactions we can call precipitation reactions. Mostly ionic reaction, they comes under precipitate reactions. Let us take example here. Means NaCl aqueous form, if we take NaCl aqueous solution and AgNO3 aqueous solution, both aqueous solutions, if we mix together, it can form AgCl solid and NaNO3 aqueous solution. Means if we take a container, a beaker, and to this if we mix, and if you add some NaCl solution, again to this if you add some AgNO3 solution, then they can form a kind of the mixture. And here both can undergo reaction, NaCl and AgNO3 kind of displacement reaction. Here sodium can be displaced by the silver and it can form AgCl solid. Precipitate can be settled at the bottom of the container, and the remaining aqueous solution is NaNO3. We have the NaNO3 aqueous solution and AgCl at the bottom of the container, and this overall reaction we can say precipitation reaction. And this is AgCl. Here this is called precipitate, and this is the insoluble solid mass. Here we can use one more word, that is a spectator ion. Spectator ion. What is a spectator ion? And it is a ion which undergo without changing in a chemical reaction. Means if you take a previous example, NaCl and AgNO3, and NaCl can undergo complete ionization, it can give Na plus and Cl minus, and here AgNO3 also can undergo complete ionization, it can give Ag plus and NO3 minus. And you have AgCl in soluble form, but NaNO3 minus it can give Na plus and NO3 minus. Now in the reaction left side we have the Na plus, and here also resultant we are getting Na plus back, and here we have NO3 minus, here also we are getting in the product side NO3 minus. And there is no chemical reaction with respect to Na plus and NO3 minus. Why? Because they are, whatever they are undergoing the chemical reaction here, they are reappearing. No change in a chemical reaction. So generally they can undergo unchanging form in a chemical reaction. And the type of ions here, Na plus ion and NO3 minus ions, and these two ions we can call them as spectator ions. A spectator means just they are watching the reaction. Spectator, which can watch the reaction but will not involve in a chemical reaction. So we can define like this: spectator ion. The ion which is unchanged and does not affect the equilibrium. And this type of ions we can call them as spectator ions. like this. In case of NaNO3, NaCl and AgNO3, So they are Na plus and NO3 minus, they are the spectator ions. The spectator ions present in a chemical reaction, then we can cancel them and we can write a net reaction. So net reaction, that is called net ionic reaction. After removal of the spectator ions, you will get the resultant ionic equation, that is called net ionic equation. The previous case, let me take again back NaCl and AgNO3. And this can give AgCl, it is a precipitate, and NaNO3. And this is Na plus and Cl minus, and Ag plus NO3 minus. And AgCl anyhow will not undergo any ionization, and this NaNO3, Na plus, NO3 minus. Now we can cancel Na plus you can cancel out, and NO3 minus and NO3 minus you can cancel out. What left after removal of these spectator ions, we will get Ag plus and Cl minus, and that is giving AgCl solid. And this type of reaction we can call net ionic reaction. Without involving of spectator ions. So we have to understand that some spectator ions are there, but there is no useful. Well, there is no practical importance of that ions which are present in this reaction. Net ionic reactions this way. Let me take some other examples. Let us go with sodium iodide. When you treat with lead nitrate, both are the aqueous forms. Sodium iodide aqueous solution, lead nitrate aqueous solution, and when you mix together, and it can form PbI2. This is a solid precipitate, and NaNO3. You take 2 moles of sodium iodide, and your lead iodide is the precipitate. And this reaction is a precipitation reaction. Why? Because here precipitate is forming. Next, spectator ions. What are the spectator ions in this particular reaction? Spectator ions are Na plus, NO3 minus. These two are the spectator ions. Then what is the net ionic reaction? So here lead 2 plus 2I minus. And this is a net ionic reaction. You can give PbI2. That's it. Let us take one more example in here. Let me take barium chloride. This we add to the sodium sulfate. Again, barium chloride aqueous, all chlorides are soluble. Sodium sulfate aqueous, and this can give barium sulfate. This is the barium sulfate, is a solid precipitate, and NaCl. This is a precipitation reaction. In this precipitation reaction, what are the spectator ions? Na plus, Cl minus. These two are the spectator ions, and the net ionic reaction. What is the net ionic reaction here? Barium 2 plus and SO4 2 minus can give barium sulfate, and this is a net ionic reaction. Again, other important subtopic here, temperature scales. What is the temperature? First of all, the basic idea about the temperature. Yes, simply we can say it is a degree of coldness or hotness. degree of hotness or coldness. That is the temperature. Then how can we measure this temperature? We have mainly three types of scales here. There are the temperature scales. What are the temperature scales? First one, Celsius. Yes. Celsius scale, Kelvin scale, Fahrenheit scale. And these three are the temperature. Mostly we will use Celsius, Kelvin and Fahrenheit. We will see in detail about these three scales. Generally in case of Celsius scale, we can take the temperature scale and the thermometer. It has the points. The scale is like this. We have the two reference points. What is 0 degrees Celsius, a minimum, and maximum 100 degrees Celsius. And this 0 degrees Celsius is refers to the freezing point of water. This is a reference point. With respect to water, 100 means boiling point of water. Pure water here, water nothing but pure water. That is the Celsius scale. And for Kelvin scale, we have the units. Again here, with respect to 0, the reference scale in case of the Kelvin is 273.15 kelvins. This is 273.15 Kelvin. This is again the freezing point for water. So actual original value 273.15, but we can take this approximately 273 for simplification purpose. And similarly the boiling point is 373.15, or we can take approximate 373 Kelvin. And this is the boiling point of water in Kelvin scale. And this scale is the Kelvin scale. And third one we have the Fahrenheit. Again here Fahrenheit, the reference scale. The freezing point of water here is 32 Fahrenheit. And this one is 212 Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit scale. So these are the three types of the scales now, and their values like this. The minimum value for Celsius scale 0 degrees and maximum 100 degrees Celsius. In case of Kelvin scale we have 273 and maximum 373. In Fahrenheit scale 32 and 212. Then how can we convert one to other? That is Celsius to Kelvin, Kelvin to Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit to Celsius, like that. The interrelation between various temperature scales. Relation between temperature scales. Just you take to identify the relation. We have the basic formula here, that is reading on the temperature scale whatever the type of the scale it is, minus freezing point. by boiling point minus freezing point. And this is the formula. By using this, we can equate three types of the scales. For example, if I take degree Celsius now, let us assume the reading in the degree Celsius is C degree Celsius, some x, minus what is the freezing point? 0. In the degree Celsius scale, boiling point is 100, minus freezing point is 0. That is equals to, in the Kelvin scale, let us assume some Kelvin, the temperature is on the Kelvin scale, minus freezing point 273, and boiling point is 373 minus 273. And if I take in terms of Fahrenheit, F minus freezing point here 32 by 212 minus 32. So that can give the final relation like this. C by 100 is equals to K minus 273 by 100, that is equals to F minus 32 by this is 180. And this is a relation between various temperature scales, mainly these three: degree Celsius, Kelvins and Fahrenheit. By using this formula, we can interchange one to other. See a few examples. The room temperature in Celsius scale is 25 degrees Celsius. What is the temperature in terms of Fahrenheit and Kelvin? So in terms of Kelvin, that is C plus 273. That can give 298 Kelvins. In terms of Fahrenheit, 77. So here Fahrenheit, we have the formula F minus 32 by 180 is equals to C by 100. C is 20 by 100. And this, if we simplify, you will get F equal to 77. Next, convert 300 degrees centigrade into Kelvin and Fahrenheit scales. Kelvin is 573, Fahrenheit 572. Third question: at what temperature both Celsius and Fahrenheit scales are equal? At what temperature Celsius and Fahrenheit scales are equal? How to identify this? Here C equal to F. We have the relation C by 100 is equals to F minus 32 by 180. This in place of C or in place of F, you substitute that one. You can take F by 100 is equals to F minus 32 by 180. Just if we simplify this one, we will get F equal to minus 40. Nothing but C also. So at minus 40 scale and at minus 40 temperature, both Fahrenheit and degree Celsius can show the same temperature scale. And one more question here. Temperature change 30 degrees centigrade to 60 degrees. Then what is the change in Kelvin and Fahrenheit? Kelvin 30. So solution for this, always seen enough for degree Celsius and Kelvin scale, the temperature change is always the same. Okay, now change is always the same for degree Celsius and Kelvin. Means what? If you change 1 degree Celsius and you can observe 1 Kelvin change. But with respect to degree Celsius and Fahrenheit, if you change 1 degree Celsius and Fahrenheit can be changed 1.8 times of Fahrenheit, that you can write here. That also further is equals to 1.8 Fahrenheit. Now what is the change? 30. So with respect to Kelvin the same 30, but with respect to Fahrenheit, 30 into 1.8, that can give 54. Convert 25 degree Fahrenheit to degree Celsius and Kelvins. Okay, anyhow, just should try these two, all of you, degree Celsius and Kelvin. These are the answers. Okay, I will stop the class here. The remaining part we will see in the next class.